Okay, day 2 on this, getting this engine out. So I'm going to show you guys my trick to getting these torque converter bolts out under here. So come under the car, and first you have to get the dust shield out of the way under here. That has to come off. So that's off. Wasn't easy with it in there, but it'll come off. And then simply what I do is I rotate the engine until the flex plate bolts, I think there's 3 on this, 3 or 4, doesn't matter. Anyway, take them out to leave the transmission in it. But you rotate this engine until you get it with that thing adjacent to the block right there. You can see that's the edge of the block. So then I come in and I put my socket on it, and what happens is this one's already loose, but when you're trying to, normally when you try to turn these to loosen them, it ends up that you're just turning the whole engine over because they're in there pretty tight. They're torqued in there, so you ain't gonna get it with a wrench. So what happens is this puts the, sorry for the light, like a light, but this puts the ratchet, or the socket rather, up against the block. Either way, it doesn't matter, it's got room to turn, but it puts it up against the block so it won't turn any further, but it'll still rotate the bolt out. So that's how I get them out. It's not easy. These V8s are not as easy to work on as a slant 6. You don't have much room. So anyway, this thing is a mess under here. There's oil everywhere, transmission fluid. So alright, I'm going to finish getting those out and then get the rest of the engine to transmission bolts out, and leave a couple in but loose, and then we'll work on getting the engine mount bolts out, and we'll drop this thing down and start getting it in position to pluck this engine out. I think I got everything. I left the tail of the exhaust pipe on that far back, but I may have to end up cutting it again. I didn't really want to because I have a piece of exhaust pipe I can put on this. I took the old one that's right there. It's all it was, that one, but I've got the one that's on that scamp out there, which looks like it's in pretty decent shape. I'm making this kind of patch it back together temporarily before I have exhaust put on this, but anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, so I wanted to show you this. This is how you get these things out. It works for putting them back in too. It's not a fun job. Well, there comes a time that you simply just have to pull an engine out. So about another half day's worth of work, I think I'm ready to pull this out. And I'm pulling it out separate from the transmission. So not only do I have to get it up off the engine mounts, but I have to get the engine separated from the transmission. I have the transmission jack under the transmission, so I'm going to have to go around under there several times, I'm sure, to jack that thing up to kind of keep the transmission from falling down and binding the engine up unnecessarily. But I think I have everything: exhaust lines, electrical cables. We'll see if I forgot anything, but I think it's ready. So I'm going to grab one more swig of tea over here, and we're going to get at this. I did go ahead and pull the distributor out of it, and everything that I was concerned about breaking, so that's out. So there isn't much left to smash on this. I'm going to try not to smash anything. I got Big Red out. I had to go find Big Red. I knew he's out there somewhere. That's my load leveler. And as a matter of fact, let me get something. We get something to work Big Red with if I need to. I lubed him up and everything, so he's in pretty good shape, I think. Okay, up we go. didn't do that. What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like the engine hoist might have given up the ghost. Fail. You know, good SOB. Try it again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. So, this thing just blew up in my face basically. So I took the plug out of it and to check the oil, and that's what happened. So the thing's already down and the pressure was off of it, so I don't know what's going on there. I might try to put some oil in it if it needs it, but I'm thinking that the long ram cylinder is just gone on it. This thing is, I don't know how old this thing is. It's probably 15 years old, I'd say. So anyway, you can buy the cylinders. They're not terribly expensive. That's all you gotta do is just replace that. But I'll try to get this one working, but it's never done that deal with it letting the engine right back down suddenly before, so good grief. It rains, it pours. Take two. So I think I got this hoist fixed. Had to go buy another cylinder for it from the fine folks up there at Pittsburgh Machinery. So it's written basically identical to the one that was on it. I guess there's not much variation in them. And I noticed when I was looking at this that this thing is obviously, you can take it apart. It's got a big gland nut on the top of it. So you know, you can probably get the parts to fix them easily, but I didn't have the time to fix the old one, so I'm going to keep it as a spare. If this one goes out, then I'll just won't bother buying another one. I'll just repair one of them. So I was trying to remember how old this engine hoist is. I told you just before that it was fairly old. Well, reasonably old. And I think I bought this in 2006. Right when I moved to the house before the last house, because that's when I started pulling engines and stuff out. So I think that's how old this thing is. And I remember buying it at Northern Tool in Chattanooga, or actually it's not Chattanooga, it's up there in Ottawa or Collegedale or someplace up there. That's where I went and got it, because I was out working up that way, and I just decided, well, I want to buy an engine hoist. So that's what I did. So this thing, well, let me say I'm pretty sure of that, because that's a Northern Tool engine leveler also. I have another one right there, it is, but that thing is so big, man. It's good for pulling out a larger engine, but it's a little too large for my usage, plus the handle's bent on it for some reason. So anyway, hopefully this equipment is all squared away now. So I'm gonna put you back on the stand and we're gonna start cranking on this thing again. Man, you should have seen that stuff blow out of there. I guess the seals must have let go in that other one. It pressurized the wrong side of it. I don't know. You can tell me how those things work better than my guessing, I suppose. But anyway, okay. All right, there we go. I think that's, yeah. All right, we had moving on this thing yesterday. It did lift up off the mouse, but by the time I got it lifted up and went under to start jacking the transmission jack up, this thing went, so. One benefit is I got a new jack handle for this thing. I'd lost the original one years ago. So my main things here is that I want to try to keep the engine from bashing like the air conditioning lines and stuff like that. I probably should have taken those off, but we'll try it without it. If it doesn't look like it's going to clear, then we'll have to do something else. Jack the transmission jack up. Comes the fun part. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. It's already kind of cracked apart here. That's good. Let's go up a little bit with it. Don't know if it's cleared the cable yet. Yeah, barely. Wiggle, wiggle. Loose on that side. Alright. Now time to bring out the big pry bar. This is where you got to keep a hand on the engine because it's liable to do something kind of unpredictable here. Alright. This thing needs to be that way just a little bit. Doesn't have to be, but it could use that, so. You ever watch a channel called Watch Wes Work? Watch Wes Work? Wes loves to tell you how many years something's been parked or not running or something like that. So I'm going to do that. This is the first time this engine's been out in probably 51 years. And now I can remember how this thing works. I think this is it here. Don't say it, I know.
You do faster than the socket on into that.
I know that, but I don't want to bother with that right now, so. Okay, kind of dropped just a little, so. Before we start putting too much pressure on it. That thing. There we go, that sounded good. Okay. I'm looking for the wire, or the cable, or the line that's always still attached to this thing. I don't see anything. Only thing is I see that the filter down here is way up against, almost against the firewall. So, see there? So I'm going to try not to, I could have taken that off, I guess. But I have some room left here. So I'm going to try to go forward with this a little bit. That way maybe I won't scrape the filter all the way up the firewall. Transmission lines are kind of a little bit. Okay, let's see if I can get this thing. So the exhaust is kind of up against the. I really like the way this thing tilts at the front. Not reacting to what I'm doing. Clear here, that needs to come off out. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I think we're gonna try to just go mostly straight up right now. It's gonna scrape its way past the steering box over here because this exhaust pipe, like I said, is sort of. We got air conditioning lines to contend with. So let's make sure that we don't have a transmission line on the engine, which we don't, so that's good. Alright, so this is basically trying to, uh-oh, that's not good. Uh-oh, we got a problem in 4C here. Go back down. I gotta take the transmission lines off. Alright, be back. I ended up cutting an access channel in the crossover pipe. Since, believe it or not, they ran the transmission lines up over the Y pipe. But that Y pipe, I'm gonna have to deal with that at a later date anyway, because that thing is pinched off and just terrible. So we'll do something different. This car's not gonna get a single exhaust. I said something about that, maybe hacking one back on. I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna put bills on it from the get-go. So we'll have to fab up some down pipes for it, which is a little bit interesting because you have to kind of snake them around stuff. So we'll do that. But anyway, put you back on the stand and we'll go again at this. Sorry we lost ground there. I didn't pay enough attention to that. Change the view a little bit so you don't get too bored with me. Train coming, you'll have to listen to that too. So, all right, let's see if we can kind of get back where we were there. You guys be over here looking now. Help me out with this. That's the air conditioning lines. Okay, got have a leaky conflict. There we go. Why does it try to tilt when you pull it forward? Why is it doing that? Okay, this dude's gonna have to just about go straight up now. As well as we can. back. I think the oil filter is gonna have to come off. Hang it. All right, he took the oil filter off. So that gives us a bit more clearance back. Okay, sorry, but I'm gonna take another pause for the cause to go get my light, so we're gonna look at this thing and see what all's going on with it. Well, I didn't find my light there. Okay, so this engine apparently is original to the car, and it's pretty gunky. It's leaked a lot off the valve cover. I gotta put that little filter back on there, but it's leaked a lot off the valve covers and stuff. Just looks like an engine that never had to be touched. You know, that's pretty common for these. I see it's still got the locks on the manifold bolts. Though there's no chance those are coming loose. See how busted up those were. So this was talking about this wide pipe. This thing it's constricted and folded and all kinds of stuff to get under there. But the reason why this engine had to come out is I had blown out freeze plugs, and so far I don't see any bad stuff. I don't see any cracks in the block so far. That motor mount is collapsed pretty bad right there. And it's got a water pump on it. The water pump feels okay. It's got a interesting, that almost looks like a Chrysler number, that 2402794, but I haven't been able to determine what that is yet. So we put a fuel pump on. The fuel pump was no good, so we did that last year. But it looks like it still has the original steel shim head gaskets on it. This motor mount's a little better, but it's still not that great. Yeah, one of those popped out again right there, I see. So you can get to the motor mount, the thing's pretty easy. I don't think that one's gonna be a little interesting, but it won't be a problem once we get the exhaust pipe off. I'm sure this is frozen. This heat riser. Yep, they always are when they sit like that. There's about nothing you can do for them. But I don't want to take the manifolds off because they are put on there without a gasket originally. They're just kind of machined. And so when you try to put them back on, they don't normally seal as well for whatever reason. They kind of flex. So the reason this thing had to absolutely come out was that it had a blown freeze plug back here. It was leaking out. You can see there's rust and stuff right there. So see that the other ones look pretty good. That's a cam plug there. That looks pretty good. Those are oil gap. That's a cam plug. The cam bore is. And those are oil gallery plugs here. So you don't have to take those out for any reason. Now, something interesting. I had that red Dart I had, that two-door, the Sport. I had an oil leak coming down from that car at the back, and I had to trace that to No, I know what it wasn't leaking. I don't even think I had it running yet, but it was. I noticed there was oil coming down. There was a lot of oil around with this. So I had to take it out and reseal it. That was a pretty fresh engine. Let's get our little pick here. Whoops. Telling you, I'm dangerous. Don't mind my toolbox. It's one of those things. Man, I tell you, I just don't have the money to buy a doggone $2,000 toolbox. I don't know how people do it, but all right. So let's kind of see here where this thing is. Breached. That's there. There we go. Right there. So the thing about freeze plugs to remember is that they rust from the inside. So even though they look good out here, that one looks really good, doesn't it? Looks like brand new out here, but you don't know what's going on the inside of it. So we'll have to replace both those. These are head core plugs. I don't know about these. Usually these never go out, but the cooling system on this thing is horrid. You can look down in here and see that line is packed with rust. And look at the thermostat. Look at the housing. Like I said, I think I have one of those, but that's not even usable. Hopefully these fittings will be usable, I hope, because they're not easy to get out. So before I took this thing out, I was taking all the accessories off, and I ran into an issue here, which hopefully I can resolve out here with a little bit of judicious work. But this bolt does not want to come out. All the rest of them did, but that one didn't. So the plan is, I think what we're going to do is just going to of course we're going to do the freeze plugs, but we're going to just totally strip this block down to the long block. We're going to take the intake off. We're going to take the water pump, probably the timing cover off, oil pan, all that good stuff, and probably put a new front seal in it, all that. So all this will come off. I have it set. I got to make sure I make a reference. I have my reference mark made for my distributor. I'm going to get ready to put that back in, but that's not a big deal. You can always find out where to put the distributor back in. This is the one that only goes 2 different ways. So one thing I want to show you again is the information that's on these. I've made videos about this before, but there's going to be people I'm sure want to know this again, so I'm going to go ahead and just show it again. If you look on the side, this does not apply to a slant 6, but it applies to a V8. You have on the left side, you have a casting number, and the displacement is in the casting number. It's 280, looks like 6030, I guess it is, and then there's a dash, and then there's a dash 273, and then there's a 8, I think, at the end of it. So that's your casting number, and it always tells your displacement. And then over here, you should have a date code on it. So this one's right here, and it's not easy to read. Scrape it down a little bit. It should be a late 68 date code. Sorry for that, kind of not doing this. Well, I think that looks like, hang on a second. Okay, it looks like that is 7/26/68. That is, that date is 4 days before my birth date. Not the same year though. So that's interesting. I thought this car was actually built a little bit later in the 68, but I have to look at this. Fender tag over here and see again. Okay. So one thing also I want to do is, while you guys are here with me, there's supposed to be a code up here, but I don't know if they did it this early. There's a it's gonna be like the plant information stuff. So Let's go take our scraper. This thing's gonna get cleaned off and painted anyway down there. There'll be nothing on this pad. Oh, yep, it's there. I'm gonna do my towel. Here it is. Okay, I don't know how well you can see any of that. But there's a 2660-2262. Okay, that's probably the no, that's not the VIN. I don't know what that is. That might be the part number of the engine, but I didn't scrape off far enough here. The displacement is also supposed to be here. And I saw the tail end of it. They give you enough information that there should be no doubt to what engine you have. Yep. There it is. There it is. See if I can get the camera to focus. All right, see right there, it says the first part of it says PM and it says 273R. So that's the plant and the displacement. So we know beyond the shadow of a doubt, this is a very, 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 very early 69 engine, because 726 of 68, that was just barely getting started for the 69 model year. So somewhere over here there should be one more piece of information here. If this engine should have this, but I have to remember, heck, I'm the one that made the video on it and I can't even remember what. This might be that pad right there. Hey, this is live as it happens, man. Yep, that's it. Now on a 69 and up engine, you should have a partial VIN derivative here. And I'm going to keep mine, just for privacy reasons, I'm going to keep it over there. Can't see all, but it does match. See, it says LH41 and it says D9 and then some other stuff. So that's absolutely it. And the transmission, I've already looked at the transmission and it's all numbers matching. Now in a 4-door 273 Dart, nobody's really gonna care about that, but if this was a swinger or something like that, this information would be very important to you to know. So that's how you find out on one of these engines. If you pull it out of the car and you're not sure what it is, if it was the original engine or been changed out, as they say, or whatever, you know now how to look for the numbers and decipher them. So you got a date code on this side, the casting date, you got the displacement that's in the casting number over there on the left side, the driver's side, and then up here you have the displacement, and probably that looks like a part number to me, or it might be a Julian date code in there, and then you have the partial VIN. This one's crucial right there if you have to know if you want it to match, if you want to know if it matches. But past that, you know, it just kind of shows you some details on if you're restoring an engine that's in this time frame. You can see what color it actually was. This is more of an orange red than it is a deep red. I noticed that right away. And you notice the distributor got some overspray on it. I don't know if I showed you that. But this is all original. This distributor's all original. You see they painted it with the distributor on the engine. Same with that thing. And the shields here, which are always rusty, like these are, you notice up here though, that they're body color. I mean engine color. They were originally painted engine color, so. But yeah. I think I have another one of those, by the way. You got an intake casting number up here. Probably got a date on it also somewhere. Should match the one for the engine, roughly. There it comes. Looks like 1CX25. Yeah. Okay, I have to decipher that one. We'll do that after we get the intake off. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go sit down, take a short break and all that, and then I'm gonna come out here and do some cleaning up and all that. I gotta get this engine space cleared out for this engine, so I'll do that. And then I'm gonna work on getting the transmission out. One of my favorite jobs. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.